13/2018. First order of business, remarks of visitors. Any citizens may address the Planning and Zoning Commission on any matter. Registration forms are available on the table. This form should be completed and delivered to the city staff by 5:45. Please limit remarks to 3 minutes. The Planning and Zoning Commission will receive the information and ask staff to look into the matter or place the issue on future agenda. Do we have any speakers tonight, Lupe?
No, sir.
No speakers, so that takes us to agenda item number 3. Conduct a public hearing for the purpose of receiving public comments and testimony regarding a zoning change initiated by the Planning and Zoning Commission, changing the current zoning from the AO Agriculture Open Space District to B1 General Business District for the property legally described as A0002 D. Arnold Tract 9 acres 1.33 and split AO Agriculture Open Space District B1 General Business District to B1 General Business District for the properties legally described as A0002 D. Arnold Tract 10 Par 3 acres 48.62 and A0002 D. Arnold Tract 10 Par 3-1 acres 1 located in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas. And we will open the public hearing at 6:02 p.m.
Mr. Chairman, this item is following our Ag Open rezoning workshop back in September. We hadn't actually put it on an agenda item for action. And after following the public hearing and public notice process, we have it before you tonight. The intention of this rezoning, going back to the workshop, was to encourage retail development on one of the 2 major corridors of town, Highway 6 Loop and Piedmont FM 3090. By removing the AO zoning, this will streamline the development process for an investor, a potential investor on the property. We do have one of the property owners here tonight, Mr. Gary Fuquay, and I did receive a call from the owner of the larger tract. That's Gary and Sandra Briers. She had a lot of the concerns that a lot of the questions that we've been getting about whether this rezoning will increase property taxes. Let her know that that's not the case, and that was really her only concern. And the ability to continue using it as she's using it today, which is raising cattle on. And I said that's not going to change. So she was happy with that, and she was going to try to make it tonight, but if she wasn't here, she told me to make sure to let y'all know. So
Good deal. And Mr. Fuquay, would you like to address your property?
Sure.
If you would step up to the podium and state your name and address, please.
My name is what?
Name and address.
Okay. My name is Gary Fuquay. And you said my address?
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's 2628 FM 3090,
Thank you, sir.
Navasota, Texas. Okay. And we own the 1.33 acres. It was some old family land that my wife owned, and when the Highway 6 came through, they cut the property in half, and so our major concern is that there would be the taxes would increase, and so I'm hearing that it will not increase unless something's commercial is put in.
Yes, sir.
That was our only concern.
The only time your taxes will increase is if you build something on there or
Okay.
you sell it to somebody and it reverts back to you for lack of payment.
Well, we have no problem with it being zoned commercial, and so that's pretty much it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That's it. I'm gonna go home then.
What
But
about,
the minutes will reflect your attendance and your comments. So
Okay.
thank
That's
you.
good. Thank you.
thank you, sir.
what about the other piece of property? Did you say you had any comment from them or no?
The other 2 are actually the same owner, and that was
Okay.
Mr. and Mrs. Briers,
Okay.
Gary and Sandra Briers, and she's the one that called me about the questions. So
Okay. So, anybody have anything they'd like to ask or? No? If not, we'll close the public hearing at 6:05. And that brings us to agenda item number 4, consideration and possible action regarding a zoning change initiated by the Planning and Zoning Commission, changing the current zoning from AO Agriculture Open Space District to B1 General Business District for the property legally described as A0002 D. Arnold, Tract 9, acres 1.33, and split AO Agriculture Open Space District B1 General Business District to B1 General Business District for the properties legally described as A0002 D. Arnold, Tract 10, Par 3, acres 48.62, and A0002 D. Arnold, Tract 10, Par 3-1, acres 1, located in Navasota, Grimes County, Texas.
I make a motion we approve the zoning change.
We have a motion from Ms. Dia Copeland
Second.
and a second from Ms. Sarah Corpita. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition say nay. Motion carries. That brings us to item number 5, discussion, consideration, and possible action on approval of the final site plan for Agape Furniture located at 7908 State Highway 6, legally described as A0002 D. Arnold, Tract 7, Par 17, acres 3.62, Navasota, Grimes County, Texas.
Mr. Chairman, this next item, the Agape Furniture final site plan, I know it's been some time since the preliminary site plan was approved. That was approved back in May 25th of 2017. During the construction of the furniture store, there was some last minute changes done to the parking lot design. Mrs. Rivaldi let me know that during the construction phase, he was suggested by his contractor that the island was probably going to create some issues for him down the road. So it'd be best if it was just striping. And so I have on the screen for you guys the original design and the new design on the bottom. The real only big change was removing of the island and relocating the enclosed dumpster area to the south corner of the property. And
Well, now the big change is what? Removing the island?
removing the island from the center
Yes.
and just having it striped, and then relocating the dumpster area to the south corner of the property.
And the dumpster area's right here, okay.
And it proposes increased landscaping as well, correct?
Yes.
So will the landscaping hide the dumpster? Is exactly what I was gonna ask too, or the
Yeah.
fencing or something, what has he got in
It's
that
an
parking lot?
It's an enclosed dumpster.
Closed.
Yeah, it's an enclosed. It's actually already there. If you drive by the site, it's already
I didn't drive by.
yeah, it's already there. But he is gonna, like Randy said, he is proposing to increase a little bit more landscaping around the perimeter of the parking lot since we're losing the island. So he made that exchange.
What, did he feel like he couldn't get trucks in through there, is that why they decided to remove the island?
He told me that it was basically just a design that having that island in the middle of asphalt could potentially cause some down the road maintenance issues. Whether it, instead of it being just one big piece of asphalt, having that cut in the middle would potentially create issues. And then definitely the vehicular right of way and just the parking in general. It's a lot better and open without the island.
I make a motion we approve the final site plan for Agape Furniture.
Have a motion from Dia
I'll second that.
and a second from Carolyn. All in favor of approving the final site plan signify by saying aye. Any opposition? Motion carries. Brings us to agenda item number 6, a workshop regulating construction of barn dominiums within the city limits.
Mr. Chairman, following some discussions after our last P and Z meeting, it was brought up that we had a new barn dominium being built within the city limits. Today, that is permitted within our code. So we were asked to bring back some information about potential options to address this concern. And I've attached a few different ideas. One of them, I looked at what other cities were doing, and some cities just outright said they're not allowed to be built. Other cities added some regulation to how they look. And there was also some cities that said you can only build them in this certain area with the regulations. So it's definitely there's multiple ways you can go about this. And I'm definitely open to hearing what y'all's suggestions are. If y'all have any questions about anything.
Well, first of all, Lupe, I'd like to thank Mr. Harris for bringing it to our attention that there was a barn dominium being built inside the city limits.
That's definitely a good thing.
I asked I was in Brenham earlier, and the community development director there. I just happened to ask her. I said, "What do you guys do for this?" And she actually sent me an email that I forwarded to him. They just actually recently had received a complaint from a citizen for something very similar, that they had a cul-de-sac in a kind of an established neighborhood, and that lots at the end of the cul-de-sac were vacant, and someone purchased them and threw up 3 barndominiums. And they look like this. And so the way that, their city of Brenham will be in a workshop in January to discuss the similar thing. And the way they're going to approach it, because Stephanie came from Bryan. And so Bryan has a requirement where they do not allow 100% metal on the facade of a residential structure. And so instead of regulating the use or trying to come up with a definition for barndominium, they're just regulating the exterior treatment. And so Brenham is going to consider something similar in January timeframe. This particular email link, the citizen had provided links to several other cities and their ordinances as well, but their primary concern was the way that how it didn't really fit in, more or less, with the rest of the structures. And so
that's very commercial looking.
They don't even look that attractive for barn dominiums. Most of the barn dominiums are see. There's one in Michael Haven's development that's very attractive.
Yeah.
It's very attractive.
Yeah.
Well done.
My problem with the current ordinance as it exists is in neighborhoods like mine without an HOA, they could purchase a lot and build a barndominium under current ordinance. And
Yeah.
I don't know that you want one built in your side yard.
Absolutely not.
Well, and sometimes I don't know if this is the case for you, but deed restrictions will, kind of weed that out.
Dove Crossing doesn't have deed restrictions. to
But
my
yeah,
knowledge.
where there aren't any, there's
That's what you get. And it wouldn't stop somebody from any lot in town if there's not deed
What
restrictions.
delineates a barn dominium? Is it like, we all know what they are, but what is a typical classical factual readout of a barn dominium?
Lots of people do them for tax purposes, because you can have your house built on top of your barn and then deduct all of your house and all of that.
But obviously, why
So
would they
it's
need a
awful.
barn here?
I know, that's just
Does it
horrible.
look like they're going to run cattle or sheep?
No.
it's
There's
just
not
cheap.
even a
No, it's
barn
just
in
cheap
that, is
construction.
there?
That's awful.
The way that they're treating they're in the ordinance that he provided, they're creating a definition.
Right.
So if you're going to define it as a use, then you're going to have to create a definition for it, which in my mind is very easy to then tomorrow get around.
Yes.
But
I
the
think so too.
exterior materials, I feel like it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Mr. Miller, you got any thoughts?
No, I just had a comment because we insure a lot of those and that term, and that term really derived from like a gentleman farm where it's more like usually a secondary residence. It's called a barndominium because there's a small residence inside a barn,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
So that would mean you have the barn, which you have it for a reason, for your implements, your tractor,
Mhm.
stuff like that, which that doesn't apply inside the city. You don't need your tractor, and I mean, if you're a farmer or a cattleman, you're out on acreage. So I don't know. At least that's the definition that I've.
Well, you could build a house or a structure over a garage, you know, that if it's done well. But usually those are like back houses, you know, it's a cottage or a guest house, or, you know, that's built over the garage in the back of a regular house. I'm just trying to think how.
The definition of barn dominium in the Bridge City, Texas ordinance is one of the best of what I have seen. And it defines a barn dominium as a barn or steel building residential structure outfitted with living quarters ranging from no-frill utilitarian structures to luxurious farmhouse
Just say
style
something.
structures.
I also saw one of these had I can't remember which one, but it said it regulated the lot size that they could be built on. Which one was that?
It was on one of the. It was on that memorandum.
Yeah, 2.5 acres.
Yeah.
So,
I would like,
What I was getting at is that you usually don't see barndominiums inside a city.
right,
May I make a comment?
sure,
It looks like they're just taking a metal building and calling it a barn,
yes.
which is not even the true.
It's not even the true definition of a barn dominium.
that, this is what that she showed me in front of me is not. There's nothing. Just as the issue is the materials. So, and it has brought up the idea of barndominiums in their community. So that, yeah, it's the metal. And I don't know what is the one that is going to go up look like.
Oh, let me pull that up for you.
I think we have
See it.
one being built and one already in the city limits. I think it's over on, is it Lee Street, right behind Glen Freeway, Rock Yard.
I think there is a metal. It's a.
Metal
I mean,
residence.
the big thing is like what Sarah was saying. I mean, in the city of Brenham, they had that same scenario, but they just didn't call it barndominium. They just said it's a house with metal siding. So, you know, we're discussing definitions, but I mean, yeah, I think there already is one over there with just it's a residence, but they decided to use sheet metal for siding instead of brick or regular vinyl siding. So, the way Sarah addressed it, I mean, that's a good viewpoint to see it as is. Let's not say what the definition is. Let's just say if it's going to be a residential structure, it can't be metal siding.
Right.
And then that way there's no loophole around it. Or a certain percentage can't be metal siding. So,
But then what about the case, and I'm just throwing this out there, I don't like barndominiums in town, but okay, say the Green City building over here. You know, that's a metal building there. What if the city said, I'm gonna sell it, and then Dia buys it and says, well, I'm gonna live there, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So, I think we have to still word it somehow for that case too.
Well, we already have guidelines that require, you know, exterior treatments for all the commercial districts, which that is one.
Yeah.
So we just don't have anything for residential.
I mean,
So the question, I'm sorry,
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
in my mind is if all the options that he presented, those are all forms of barndominiums. I mean, and many of those are attractive, you know. Is it necessarily, what are we trying to do, I guess? You know, and I think in more, it's difficult for me to identify specific character areas throughout the residential districts in Minnesota. There's a lot of different types of structures. And so if we were going to come up with residential design guidelines, it would be, you know, what are we trying to do? You know, there's a uniform look in certain residential or neighborhoods that are coming up that are newer. But I don't know.
And you know, and in that example, Dia, that you used, if let's say, theoretically speaking, if you bought that building and you said I'm going to live in it now, our ordinance today would say it's currently a commercial building, and now you're going to turn it into a residential building. So that's a change of use. And anytime you have a change of use of a structure, it has to meet the current code.
Okay.
So then we would have to ask you, well, Dia, if you want to live there, you know, you're gonna have to put masonry. You're gonna have to match the adjacent buildings of the central business district.
Okay.
So
That makes
in that
sense.
instance, that's what it is.
You know, because people are converting all sorts of weird things.
Yeah, containers.
Yeah, containers.
So could we not address it and just say that no residential structures can have metal siding? And wouldn't that
I mean, that would be an option.
Cause you know, you got metal roofs everywhere.
Well, yeah, metal
Well,
roofs.
you could just say just the siding itself.
Okay.
'Cause, I mean, there's some real nice homes in town that have metal roofs.
Oh, yeah, that's
Wonderful.
that's one of the top roofing systems
And I think she
in some of the nicest neighborhoods.
Mhm.
Except for the hair.
I think she had said something like the primary structure, we could get the language. I mean, as a you know, just sort of a reference. But the primary structure, residential structure, could not have 100%
Metal
metal
siding.
on the sides of the structure.
Yeah, and then you go put a
Something
few
like-
rocks on it, so now it's not 100%.
Right.
You know, so I think we gotta be real careful.
Well, I guess you could do the negative effect. You could say, what percentage can you do metal?
Yeah,
And then there's no way around it.
yeah.
Well, one of these ordinances said that maybe I saw it on something I pulled up, that the street side of it could not have any exposed metal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there was one of the cities, one of the samples I provided did say that.
And that would change the whole look. If the front of the house can't look like this, it would have to be
Right.
masonry or hardy plank or.
Mhm.
Now, I don't know that anybody here would have a problem with that being built, but the problem is that's not what's being built.
Yeah, I mean, I think I went a little bit too wishful thinking on my.
So, do
sample.
you have a picture of the proposed barn dominium that's in
Oh yeah,
construction?
sorry, I got it. Sorry, let me pull it up.
This was a major concern for me because
Oh, I
the lot
agree.
across the street from my house, the house that burned,
Yeah.
the lot has sold. And with no current construction guidelines, they could go in and
Yeah.
put a barn dominium on that slab that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Could we restrict the size? I mean, would that be going too far, adding too much to the
Well,
ordinance?
one of the suggestions, and I'm just going to throw it out, is one of the ordinances said that barn dominiums were only allowed on tracts of land over 2.5 acres, zoned open ag.
Oh.
Well, see, I like that.
We're addressing that open ag
Right.
situation
There's
already.
not going to be any open ag left.
Yeah.
That's not true, because I talked to Mr. Stafford today. He said that any of these people that currently have open ag can come to us in these public forums and say, we don't want it changed from
Oh.
ag open to B1, and because that's been our family farm for 182 years. I think everybody at this dais would honor their wishes not to currently change it to B1.
Yeah.
And in that case, if they wanted to build a barn dominium, it's not going to be seen by anybody. So.
Yeah.
Well, we could do it where they had to have a minimum acreage, where if it was in the city limits, couldn't have any metal exterior.
On the front.
And we could limit it so that if they did build one, it would be very attractive and it would only be on 2.5 acres. How big is your property over there?
3 acres.
3 acres. I mean, she could literally go to that side where the horses could be kept and build a real attractive structure on her property that would be very suitable and very nice. Within,
I'd say, more than just the front facade, because if it were my neighbors,
I want the sides.
I want the sides.
I would
too.
want no
Yeah.
metal circular around, because your
That's
neighbors in the front, back, and sides are gonna see it.
Yeah.
So I would want it to be, and then she could come in and put a real attractive barn dominium and even rent out the cottage part of it.
And see, I'm with you on
That's
not
right,
having
yeah,
any
I
metal
think-
exposed to my neighbors, because that just,
Yeah.
if we want to live next door to a barn,
I
we'll
think-
choose to
yeah,
live next door to a
Right,
barn.
now if they make it really beautiful and it just simply is a really
A
pretty
back porch
structure.
that's got metal.
Yes,
on
and
it.
it's a pretty, then, cause I could live with not that.
The one,
The other ones.
the one at the
But are
very
there-
top was very
And
attractive.
It was.
I thought I had a link to the one that's being built on 10th Street, but I don't. But it's basically, it looks just like the one up here on the corner, except take that at a second story and move the door down. It has 4 windows. And
That's it,
Yeah, then that's it.
on 10th Street.
And there
Well,
is,
see,
they do have a
historic
balcony
view.
on.
We've got one on 10th Street
It's a
going
good
up.
building.
That's
That's why we're here
awesome.
tonight.
Yeah, so it's just like that, 2 stories with 4 windows in the front, and they do have a balcony.
Are they already building it?
Ten.
They got
Yeah.
permission to do
Yeah.
it?
10th and the
10th and Piedmont.
in Piedmont.
Yeah.
Down
For,
further.
oh, way down
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
that direction.
From you. Yeah.
Well, this is coming at a good time.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is, yeah.
But I think that the way that Navasota is laid out with this larger acreages that we have in town,
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with a real attractive structure. I mean, look at the one at Michael Havens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's a beautiful structure. And
Is that full
so,
metal siding?
we just need to limit the look and keep it attractive, and she could have a really pretty one on her property if she wanted to. It's real attractive, you know.
Maybe I'll move out of here.
James could build one on his
Are
vacant
there-
lot now.
Yeah.
Outside of metal, are there any other like side facade treatments that we don't find attractive to? I mean, because people can do all kinds of stuff. So there's a lot of
Well, if you limit it,
glass.
if you limit metal, that takes away a lot of different products, the vertical and the horizontal metal and the corrugated metal, and that doesn't leave a lot of treatments other than a glass building, but I don't know that would meet building code.
Was-
Are no
Does
risks.
that-
Well, it
Are no
probably,
risks.
if it was built to
We say
standard,
there are
the
none.
wind load and everything.
What'd you say, sir?
Yeah. I was just saying. I mean, if there are no guidelines, then any material,
Empty beer cans.
Can you think of
That's
anything?
metal siding. That's
recycled tires. I don't know that we need to go into all that.
No.
Can you think of anything
If it meets wind load.
If we say it has to look like the
Stucco.
neighborhood, that's not right.
Stucco.
No,
You
we
can't do
There's
that.
can't
mobile
do
homes
that.
in the neighborhoods,
Well,
yeah.
I thought the whole purpose of a barn dominium was it was a metal building.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's
But
a facade.
You can
it's
put a
gonna
facade of
complete-
anything
yeah,
on a metal.
exactly.
Noble's Funeral Chapel's a metal building.
Oh,
Yeah, you could put
This
cedar or.
church.
Yeah.
Family Life Center over here.
Yeah, it's a metal building.
Well, and I think like what Sarah said earlier is a lot of times people build these because they're cost efficient. So if you require full siding or stone or brick, then it's probably going to cost you the same as just a traditional home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then in that case, well, you've already established your original intent was to make it look like a house. So you're just going to build a house.
And are you thinking of limiting the space? You think that would matter?
Like the size of the lot.
I think it needs to be
Well,
I think
2.5
it should
acre or
be.
larger.
The only other thing there's one place on Church Street that I think is 4 acres. And it's for sale, the Duckworth.
Mhm.
And so, maybe we need to worry about, it needs to be over 4 acres.
What we can
I don't know.
we can make it simple and just say they're
Yeah.
not allowed in the city limits.
That's
Gee, I forgot to mention I bought a lot on Church Street and I'm building a barn dominium.
Hey, you get too close now.
Nah,
Because some cities have done that. I mean,
Yeah.
They're
They
not,
just say no barn
no
dominiums in
barn
the city.
dominiums are allowed in the
But then
city
you have to
limits.
define it again when
Yeah,
you say the
and I'm
word
not-
barn dominium. I wouldn't call that a barn dominium. That's
No,
just-
I call that a metal.
It's a-
There's
lot
there's
less.
property.
That's an ugly house.
Like that property behind the Duckworth
Yeah.
property. If you had a
That was
long
what you-
driveway and a barn, no one would see it.
Right.
And I think it would be-
It's landlocked, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the one behind the house on Ketchum that needs to be torn down.
at least the owner is not here, right?
Yeah, after
Right.
Connie, like Connie said, it's been, declared
Or being recorded.
tear it down. That one's got 2 acres behind it. So there's some acreage, and then Patu's got some land.
Yeah, but the key was what I said originally,
Right,
ag open.
yeah, that's true, Yeah, so I think we've just gotta be careful so that all those other properties that are of substantial size.
Because if they're not zoned ag open currently, we're not gonna change the zoning from
No, or a barn
R1.
dominium in the neighborhood,
No.
yeah.
And if it's residential and you can't put a barn, then we have to define what a barn dominium is. And then say they can't do it.
Mhm.
I mean, I think
Yeah, I don't have a problem.
we could add some lot limitations if that's what y'all decide to do. But I do think that you can't have a metal siding. I think that fixes everything.
Mhm.
So even in the inside, if it's just A beam or what is it, I beam,
Yeah.
but the outside looks like a brick structure, I think
I don't have a problem with
Yeah.
that.
whatever.
Because I
Whatever
don't
direction you
necessarily have a problem with the barn dominium.
What?
But
In
it's
the
just-
right place.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
They can be beautiful.
Yeah, I don't have any problems with barn dominiums as long as they look attractive. And they fit the the area in which they're built.
Well, and like Mr. Miller was saying, you know, how's your tractors, your cattle, your, you know, your saddles or whatever, we don't really have all of that in the city limits.
Because if we go with that ag open,
Right.
most of it's gonna be on the outskirts of
Yeah.
the
Right.
city limits.
Yeah. Okay.
So you'll
We
take
got some good words?
the comments and come back.
Yep, so it sounds like y'all would prefer it to be only an ag open, and when it is built in ag open, it has to have no metal, all masonry or some sort of, exterior finish.
2.5 acres.
2.5 acres. Okay, and then, but then you couldn't build one on yours, well, you could
Yeah, I
build
could.
2.5 acres.
Yeah.
Okay, either ag open or 2.5 acres, is that what we're looking at, not just ag open?
Yeah.
I think it
And
needs to
Duckworth
be,
could build-
I think it needs to be ag open only, lot sizes 2.5 acres and up.
Okay.
That's my own opinion.
So you have a
Well,
number
that's a
of
nice succinct way to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Do y'all wanna look at the zoning map to?
Yes, let's get to
there
it.
are several, like you said, there are several lots that
There
are
really are.
greater than.
Right.
But they're
that
not,
are not
but they're not
residential.
ag
They're not
open.
ag open, no. Yeah, those are
If
lovely,
it's-
but you don't see them, you don't see a bunch of houses all adjacent to them either.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's because the barn dominiums upon farm.
That's
Yeah,
right.
if you really wanted to build a
Yeah.
structure that was kind of similar to a barn, you could build something like a workshop,
Yeah.
cottage over, it wouldn't be a barn dominium.
Right.
And it would have the same feel as a home.
Yeah, there's not gonna,
Yeah.
there's not gonna.
This building here looks no bigger than the
There's not gonna be.
or no different than the J5 tractor.
Exactly.
Exactly, yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's
Or
for
that
sale.
mobile systems out there on Highway 6.
Exactly.
The J5 tractor building's for sale, I could buy that and make it residence.
It's the same.
Yeah.
You know,
They just revamped the building out on the loop.
Oh.
So the one there by the hotel's not for sale.
I would look forward to the left-hand corner.
And where did the other?
Yeah, boy.
That's a $4 million barn dominium there.
Yeah, but you know, it's gonna smell like a horse when you got one.
Absolutely.
And by the way, they're basically just acceptable.
Yeah.
By the way, that's expensive.
Yeah.
Well, then the real honest to goodness barn dominium isn't really satisfactory in the city.
No.
I mean, we just
The IRS
get rid of it,
really clamped down.
Are they?
really.
Yeah.
Alright, there's the zoning map, so, let me get the laser pointer.
Some of these we've already tackled.
This one is gonna change tonight.
Yes.
Well, I guess it has to go to city council, for their final decision, but this big track will change and that little corner up there, that's the 1.33 we took
So
out.
whites are the AO.
So whites are AO,
Whites are AO, so there's a couple.
so they could
No,
do,
no, that's not really white.
no, there is no,
Okay.
the only AOs are the big ones you see, there is no AO at all within this area.
And this one's here in the major floodplain.
Yeah,
Didn't we talk about, no, we haven't talked about the one by Dove Crossing yet, have
no, we've only focused up here.
we? Okay.
We might need to address that pretty quick.
Yeah, well, the comprehensive.
Some of
plan,
those that are really close to the residential and
That one there is in the comprehensive plan, I think, nails it as residential, so.
residential.
You mean,
So AO,
so the,
2.5 acres.
Right.
or larger.
And no
No,
metal.
No, Yep.
okay.
Well, then, to a real barn dominium for what they're really for, you don't need them in the city limits at all. So you just need them in minimum 2.5 acres, ag open. Ag open, you wanna go that? Is that what you're thinking? That
Ag.
simplify it, just totally,
No metal.
just do it?
Okay.
Yeah.
And no metal.
And no
no
metal.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is gonna limit them until we get everything rezoned.
Till we
Kate.
What, and I'm not playing devil's advocate, but I'm just throwing an idea out there. What if somebody does want to build one of these smaller, really attractive,
Are you wanting
like this?
logistics?
To me, that's a house, because I don't see any metal siding on that anywhere.
Where's their hay? Are they storing hay?
Then the barn looks like it's back there.
Yeah.
See, the barn looks like it's somewhere back there.
But that is vertical siding.
Yeah, that's vertical siding.
Yeah.
So that logistically, are you thinking about putting that clause in every residential zoning district, like the site development, the development standards? Like where does this go language wise in the ordinance?
We'd have to probably put a definition of what a barndominium is, add that definition in our zoning ordinance, and then put it as a permitted use in only AO,
Mm-hmm.
I think. But Carrie will look it over to make sure that's correct. But I think that's the direction we're going to go. So we are going to have to define it if we're going to limit it to one zone.
No, if you do, but if we're saying that all residential structures, no metal siding, right?
Right.
And not just a barndominium, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, because technically, Sarah, those pictures you showed, those are not barndominiums.
Right.
Because there's no barn.
They're just
They're
houses.
just houses
With
with
metal
metal
siding.
Yeah.
So the metal siding is a really important thing to just go ahead and work with that, you think?
Very interesting.
So
You know, you hate to restrict something really super attractive and well done and, but at the same time,
Yeah, but there's so much room for interpretation of
yeah.
what's super and well done.
Yeah, exactly, yeah,
It might be to somebody, but not to you and me.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or the neighbors in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The life savings on their home and,
I kind of feel for the poor cul-de-sac in Brenham.
oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
It
it's
was
just
just
terrible.
You could add
Oh,
something
how
in every
think of
residential.
what their property values did with that.
Yeah.
All structures must be.
No kidding.
Code, no structure, whatever.
Mhm.
Whatever's better.
Yeah.
Well, you can
But
see
then
the
you can
back
build
of
it
some of
anywhere,
those
in any
houses
residential
on
zone.
there.
Uh-huh.
But the barndominium, I've never seen it.
No matter what they
If
were,
we wanna do
the
all three of
structures,
those
they
things.
bring it down.
Yes.
And you'd have to permit it.
Yeah, even if they
You
were
have to
not,
permit it.
say, expensive homes,
And
or,
then on the other say no metal siding.
Frame, old
I
frame
feel like
house.
that's
just,
just
Yeah, it's
whatever,
tell me
you
about
know,
it and figure out how to do
Yeah.
it. And then half of it, it's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah, well,
look like
He's
something on
gonna
Ranch
communicate the
Ranch.
intent to the attorney and then he'll come back with
Perfect.
something. I was like,
That's what I
rather
said.
than
Yeah,
me.
he'll-
Right.
Yeah. let's
So I don't know if you heard what Lupe just said. He's going to communicate the intent of what we're trying to do to Carrie, and then
Good.
Carrie will get back to us of
Okay.
what we need to do.
Okay, that's a
Okay.
good
Tell you to
idea.
hurry.
He will. So that brings us to agenda item number 7: consideration of possible action on approval of the meeting minutes for November 8, 2018, and November 29th, 2018, as presented.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
We have a motion from Sarah to approve both sets of minutes,
I second
and a second from Dia. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? With that, we will move to the final agenda item, adjourn.
You like
God.
that agenda
The
item.
longest item, the one that doesn't start till next time.
Yeah.
Who even ever thought of the barn dominium process? I mean, that's such an obvious thing, we didn't think of it. But it maybe it was obvious.
Come up here.
You gonna introduce
I
him?
want some comments from Roger because he's looked at building them. He's very familiar with them, but they were all out in the country though, weren't they?
Just some comments. I've looked for months. I finally bought a house in your neighborhood, right by the airport, Gone Lakes. But it was because I was exhausted I wanted to build a barndominium. The difference to me was a house is a living space with a garage inside. A barndominium was a garage with a living space inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted it, not because I'm a farmer or a rancher, I like fiddling with cars and motorcycles and all that kind of stuff, and I wanted all of the space to do that with. But being practical, by the time that you look for 2 to 2.5 acres, or 1 to 3 acres, and you price a building, septic, water of any kind to go on it, and the building, it is sky high.
Wow.
So, because of all those reasons, I bought a house in Pecan Lakes that has a 3-car garage, which was as close as I could get to what I wanted. So, I'd hate to see you all, if someone came in to town or whatever and wanted to put a barn dominium, they could come to you all and ask specific permission to do it. And share with you what the facade was gonna look like, the landscaping, the amount of land, all that kind of stuff. So, I know that y'all are wrestling with it, I feel for you. I have a question, but outside of that. By the airport, where that RV hookup place was, where you turn from 105 down to
Bye, Sarah.
to Pecan Lakes. What is that? What is the city gonna do with that area?
You're asking the wrong government body about that.
Well, actually, Roger, I want to say
I thought it was
2 council meetings ago, city council voted to close that RV park. So, staff is already planning to basically remove everything from there, and it's just going to be a green grass lot there. So that we'll no longer have that park there.
Who owns the airport? Does the city?
Yes.
You could take that fence that cordons that off and then just bring it to the edge. That's very expensive property to just let it go to grass because it's electrical, water, it's septic,
Mm-hmm.
all in, there must not have been more than 10 spaces?
Yeah, I think there was 10 spaces there. Yeah.
So,
I mean,
I don't know what you do. I'd like to see something neat done with it.
well, I mean, I think, it's probably for, I mean, if an investor came to us and said, hey, we're going to do something really cool here, I got willing to sell, I mean, that's a city council question, but I don't think it'll be vacant forever, but the RV park is not there.
Active runway, where it comes out heading west to 105. On one side, you had that flag park down by August Horse,
Mm-hmm.
off the end of the active runway.
Oh, okay.
On the other side, it'd be neat if you could have something like that.
Who owns that? Who owns that?
That's city property.
The RV park is
Mhm.
city property?
That's city property. It's actually airport property, but
Gotcha.
city property, yeah. Yeah. That'll be.
That is a cool area. We could
Or
figure
maybe
out something
more
really
hangers.
neat. I agree with you.
Yeah.
We could figure out something really cool to go on there.
Hopefully, they could put more hangars because it already has the utilities.
Yeah.
Well, there's a need. I mean, hangars have been selling like crazy, haven't they, Lupe?
I think most of them are filled.
Yeah. So I mean, there's probably a need for more hangars.
Does the city own the airport, the land that?
Yes.
Well, as Pecan Lakes grows, maybe there'll be more people with planes
There
that
Oh,
want
yeah.
to, because I think there's a lot of,
And it only.
but there's an airport board too.
But it only,
Well, folks,
See?
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Yeah.
Because we won't meet again till second week in January.
Okay.
2019.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Lupe.
Yeah, the airport board,